before we begin the keynote session and look forward to more enlightenment, it's only befitting that we grace the occasion with the lighting of the ceremonial lamp. May I invite forward the Honorable Chief Guest, of course, and may I request the office bearers to please join her here on the dais to light the ceremonial lamp. We have with us on this occasion Dr. Ms. Girija Vyas, Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation. Shubham karoti kalyanam, arogyam dhana sampadaha, shatru buddhi vinashaya, deepa jyotir namostute. I bow to you, O light, you who bring auspiciousness, abundance of good health, wealth, prosperity, and destroys the enemy's intellect. I'd now like to take this opportunity to invite on stage Mr. C. Shekhar Reddy, President, CREDAI. Sir, I request you to kindly address the gathering. He is a civil engineer by education and a visionary by passion. Mr. Reddy has been committed to building a better India for over 2 decades now. He's forged across the length and breadth of our nation and has been the voice of the Indian real estate industry on both national and international platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, we're fortunate to hear him speak this afternoon. Please, sir, it's all yours.
Honorable Minister, Dr. Girija Vyas, Minister for Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, and Sri Arun Kumar Mishra ji, Secretary HUPA, Chairman of the CREDAI National, Mr. Lalit Kumar Jain, Mr. Gitambar Anand, the President-elect, and also the Chairman of the Conclave Organizing Committee, and our founder president, Mr. Kumar Gera, our founder, former president, Mr. Rajni Ajmera ji, and former chairman, Mr. Pradeep Jain ji, and my all other office bearers on the dais, and this presidents of the state federations and chapters, and their executive committee members, and our governing council member of the CREDAI National, other members of the Conclave Organizing Committee, delegates, members of print and electronic media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon and warm welcome to everybody to this CREDAI Conclave. It gives me immense pleasure to extend you a warm welcome to you, Honorable Minister Dr. Girija Vyas ji. I thank you for accepting our invitation and being among us today. It is very gracious of you, Madam. And after our Moscow conclave, again we are meeting, and all delegates across the country, they have all come here to meet you and greet you and also to listen to you. And they are looking ahead to you for the relief which the construction industry is looking for. Madam, CREDAI is the voice of the real estate developers in India. It earned this image and recognition by practicing a code of conduct and motivating its members to follow the ethical values, comply with the building norms and rules, ensure transparency in all their transactions and business practices, and delivery promises made to customer consistently and willingly. CREDAI is thus become the apex body of the private real estate developers, having under its fold well over 9,000 developers across its 142 chapters in 22 states. CREDAI has strived hard over the years, organized and brought a large number of developers onto a single platform. CREDA has been closely networking with the government representatives, policymakers, investors, financial companies, consumers, and real estate professionals. It is continuously striving to set new standards of performance in its duty in the nation building activity. Madam, the theme of the conclave is housing the game changer, leading to double-digit GDP growth. Housing sector can trigger massive economic activity and help grow to higher levels of GDP, but its potential for development and growth is thought by the very many barriers in riddled with. Madam Minister, removing these barriers assume the most urgent priority in the context of the economic decline in the last 3 years. In this period, India's GDP growth has become off from 9.3% in 2010 and 11 to 4.6 in the first half of the financial year 2013 as per the government data. The concern of the people is not only just about the economic decline, unchecked inflation, threatening CAD and other economic factors, but it is about the people's aspirations that are being cut short and denied. This is why we see people are unhappy and expressing often some amount of displeasure against the government. We must do something that arrests this aspirational apathy of the people and raises their confidence in the government. Toward this objective, we request you to consider doing few things immediately in the field of housing sector, which has the promise of propelling the economic growth to double-digit growth. This is to remove the barriers that haunt the housing industry persistently. Madam, you might observe, because of the present state of economy, the real estate industry is facing hardship on various issues, rising prices of land, labor cost rising, material cost rising, taxation is every 6 months we can see, our friends can watch for it, every 6 months some new tax come into the real estate sector or some amendments in the finance ministry comes. Every time is burdening. The policy makers also and government should also understand it is not the builders who is going to be burdened. This is the ultimate the citizen. The homeless person is taking that burden. The high cost of funding, delays in getting NOCs and financial high cost of funding, delays in getting NOCs and final approvals. And top of it, it is outdated policy, FSI norms also making a lot of issues here. This is almost the FSI norms are British, they have put these norms. After that, even the other countries they have changed, they went ahead, but we are there in the most of the states except Andhra Pradesh. Cash flow crunch is there, the cascading effect is high cost of the dwelling units, and thereby sales have slowed down, and there is a need for the restructuring of loan also, madam. See, madam, as you are aware, the urbanization is rapidly taking place. As per the HUPA, the report, population of India by 2030 will be going to be 1480 millions. Out of this, about 40%, that is 590 million, are going to stay in urban areas. So, and they require about 60 million dwelling units as per the HUPA estimate. And to meet this 60 million, we need to produce annually about 3.4 million additional houses, apart from the backlog of about 18.77 million. This is a huge task. And not only this, the McKinsey report on urbanization 2010, it estimates about we require to meet all the housing and other requirement, infrastructure requirement by 2030, we need to invest about US dollars 1.2 trillion for the capital investment. All these amounts to massive housing program in the next 17 years, the scope and speed of which can only be achieved unless the following barriers are removed. I'll just, these are all our aspiration for the last few years, but not happening, but I'll just repeat few of them for the understanding of the Honorable Minister. Madam, the first one, actually the online approval, the single window and online approval. Your ministry has done a lot of work on this for the last few years. The Misra ji is also there. We held a lot of the meetings with the various stakeholders. But I'm happy to share with all the delegates, the ministry has put this online and single window system on the optional reforms of the Rajiv Awas Yojana. Madam, we all know the optional reforms will not take place because we need to grow fast. We need to achieve the double-digit growth. See, you have to brought into the mandatory reforms of the Rajiv Awas Yojana, and see that immediately all the state governments will implement this online sanction of the approval so that delays can be cut down. And as reported with the McKinsey report, because of the delays, the 40% additional burden is going to the consumer. So in effect, if we can implement online, earlier also CREDAI has informed the government that if we can implement online, we can cut down the price of the end dwelling unit about 15 to 25%. This is actually, as on today, it's a national waste. Totally is a national waste. The delay is entirely national waste. I often say to my friends, see, nobody is stopping our, external forces are not stopping our growth. It is our bureaucracy, is our own procedures, is our own policies are stopping our own growth. The Indian growth is stopped by ourselves only. I think we need to immediately take up this, madam. And definitely, this is one of the priority online. I can tell madam has assured us to take it to the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister and MOEF in the next few weeks. I think this is the priority item. Second thing, madam, as I said earlier, FSI. See, land costs are going up. So builders can't help. We don't have in our hands. Unless the FSI is increased so that the land component per square foot of built up area will come down. And a lot of other countries are giving liberal FSI, 8, 10, 12, 15 also. But unfortunately, India is the only country we have not changed much, except, madam, there is a best case study in our own country. Andhra Pradesh in 2006, they have done away with the FSI concept. It is left to the market forces. It is left to the developer. Depending on the land value, you can go as the height, whatever you require. But provided you have to pay the impact fee, it is successfully functioning in Andhra Pradesh. And I can only tell you, madam, in a summary wise, if you compare the prices of Hyderabad and Chennai, Hyderabad prices are about 60 to 70% are cheaper in comparative locations. So that is the effect of the increase of the FSI. So this is the only tool you have wherein you can reduce the cost of the end product. So I request, madam, the doing away of the FSI can also make as a mandatory in the Rajiv Awas Yojana, or bring some legislation across the country for the benefit of the nation, for the growth of the nation, for the housing requirement. I think the FSI has to go. You can ask any developer here, madam. They'll all say, what is their first option? Means they say remove the FSI. So that is I think another issue we have to take it to the Prime Minister, madam. We have to convince. This issue has to be tackled very seriously, madam. And not only this FSI removal, what is happening, madam? I can tell you practical experience in Hyderabad. Because of high density, the impact fee, the high rise which we are constructing, the betterment charges and impact fee, corporation is getting double the revenue. And now we have a better infrastructure facility in Hyderabad. And because of high density, the cost of amenities is also costing less. So we are achieving affordable housing with the increase of FSI. We are achieving the better services at lowest cost, and our corporation is full of funds. They are developing the extremely good infrastructure for the citizens. So three things we are achieved one side. The other side, the employment, huge employment, and there are 300 and odd the ancillary sectors. They are also flourishing. Overall, the scenario, the economic development is going on in those corporation which is implemented. So I request, madam, this FSI has to be made compulsory across the country. We should done away this. Third thing, most important is, what we are observing is, suppose other day, the RBI report says there is a exposure to the home loans. Home loans exposure is there. Home loans exposure means that is not a real estate, not project funding. Home loan exposure means people aspiration is more, the people are getting housing, better housing, and more people are purchasing, so their paying capacity is there, so therefore they are going to more loans. It's a good sign for the country. Whereas I don't know, the RBI says this is a sensitive sector, we are cautioning you, be careful. Why should we do that? Whether our intention is to stop the economy, growth of the country, they should appreciate, in fact, the housing exposure, housing loan exposure has gone up by so and so percent, is a plus sign. It's a positive sign for the country. So, madam, what is happening is, the Finance Ministry and RBI, time and again, they are issuing, almost they are threatening the developers community. So, there is no autonomy of the banks in this country. For everything, they are dictating. Unless you fund the sector, how it will grow? The sector has to grow. So our request is you fund liberally. For example, our exposure, total exposure to real estate in this country from the bankers is only less than 3%. Whereas in China, it's 22%, in America, it is 32%. See their exposure and our exposure level. And madam, one interesting thing, Arunji, one interesting thing, our entire exposure to the real estate projects is less than 3%, that amounts to 1,26,000 crores. But whereas one corporate group has a debt of equivalent to our entire industry. 1,13,000 crores is reported, one corporate group exposure. So how are you treating entire industry? I think something is wrong. I think we have to think ourselves at the government level. And 10 top corporate debt is 6,30,000 crores. So you are not at all treating entire industry, real estate as industry, as activity in this country. You are keeping it as an untouchable industry. So this perception has to go. This is the only sector which is giving maximum employment in this country. So the funding has to be definitely improved, madam. And another issue, how we can get the cheaper product to the end user. Fund liberally, create excess stock in the market. There will be healthy competition among the developers. It becomes buyer's market. The prices will come down. This is what happened in Hyderabad, we have seen practically. So it definitely, to benefit the consumer also, you have to fund liberally to all the developers. Madam, this housing is tax rate the highest in the country. About 30 to 40% is the taxation by Government of India, state government, local bodies. Local bodies also, without anybody's knowledge, they go on add. Registration department, they are, to increase their own target, they go and add. And we have been seeing this as a real estate. This is immobile property. All of a sudden, Government of India, I don't know whether they consulted HUPA or not, they have imposed, there is a service on this sector, you pay service tax also. There is a duplication, multiplication of taxes, service tax, registration charges and VAT. I think, madam, you have to take it very seriously. I think only one tax has to be there for the entire real estate. And madam, as per our own policy, HUPA policy, National Habitat Policy, registration charges has to be maximum, it has to be a maximum of 3%. Madam, I think now this is the second reforms, you have to concentrate on this. Maybe you can brought in under the mandatory reforms so that the states can definitely bring down the registration charges to 3%. And one immediate relief what we want from the service tax, madam. See, whatever to the extent immovable property by way of sale deed, we are registering. That is immovable property. That component of the total cost of the flat should not attract service tax. Balance, it comes under works contract, is no issue. But whatever sale deed amount is there, anybody is paying stamp duty. Out of 50 lakhs, somebody has paid 40 lakhs consideration on the stamp duty, that should be treated irrespective of the stage of construction. That should be treated as immovable property, and service tax has to be, definitely, it should be waived off. It's a common sense, because the person is selling a immovable property. The final, last one, madam. There are other speakers, they speak. The present form of regulatory authority, if it is implemented as it is, madam, instead of addressing all issues we have raised so far, we have not addressed any issues in the RERA, regulatory authority. if it is implemented as it is, instead of reducing the price, as per our perception is concerned, 30% of the cost will go up. If you can definitely ask any developer, will tell you where are the cost escalations are there. I don't want to go in detail there, madam. See, we need a comprehensive regulatory authority. We welcome it from CREDAI. They should cover all these, whatever I have just narrated, all our issues, part of the regulatory authority, that is FSI issue, online sanction, taxation, funding, all these issues has to be addressed by the regulatory authority. And not only that, all the stakeholders which are excluded now, as on today, the corporations and the fire department, water and electricity board, these also to be included part of the regulatory authority. If they are not answerable to regulatory authority, we will not achieve the end result. Builder may not be in a position to deliver the apartment within the time which is promised. So these are the issues, madam, and I can definitely see by using RERA as a tool, you can target for a double-digit growth. That is what my visualization, madam, CREDAI visualization. I think it can be achieved if you can address this. Madam, thank you very much for the patient hearing, and hope that you will definitely, in the coming few weeks, take up these issues and call us also to the Prime Minister and Finance Minister and MOEF. These are the major issues we are facing. I hope you will definitely, as you promised, I think before maybe January ending, madam will definitely convey good news to all the real estate fraternity. Finally, on my behalf of the governing board of the CREDAI and on behalf of all the delegates, I congratulate, appreciate the entire organizing committee of Conclave, headed by Mr. Gidambar Anand, who is the chairman of the Conclave committee. Thank you very much, Gidambar and team, and congratulations. Thank you.